Hey, how are you?
I am good. How are you this Friday evening?
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there? Yeah.
Just got out of a 3-hour meeting at Full Sail.
Oh, wow. I hope it was positive.
No,
No.
it was just another meeting. Nothing good or bad about it.
Oh, okay.
Just a bunch of people talking about stuff that's not going to get done.
Typical, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that our capstone process got to be a little bit confusing for you. So I wanted to make sure to clear all that up for you because it's not meant to be that way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Actually, yesterday I figured out what the issue is for me.
What's that?
I know I wrote you like a couple books explaining it, but I figured it out in more easier way to say it.
Okay.
So I was under the assumption that I was going to pick a capstone project, a topic, a company, business intelligence stuff. I'd gather my data, I'd present it. Yay, I graduate, right?
Right.
um, I was not. I don't know if I wasn't told or if I didn't understand or what, but I didn't. I think I didn't realize that I was going to need this specific data that you're
Right.
having us gather. I didn't know I was going to need that data. I thought I was going to, in month 11 or 12, gather my own data that could be whatever data I need to present my idea. I didn't know I would need this specific data.
Right.
And so now that I need that for the week 4 assignment, I now need to change company, change idea, or whatever in order to be able to get that data and use that specific data.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And the point with the financial data that you're doing this particular month in your project at the end is we want everyone that when they graduate to know how to look at a data set, whatever that might be with the company, and be able to put it through trend analysis and sentiment analysis and do all of those things to see if anything jumps up at them for a challenge or an opportunity, because that's what a lot of business intelligence professionals do when they're consulting or they're working inside of their own organization. But since we discourage students from using a company they work with right now because they don't necessarily have access to all the information and they may already have preconceived notions about what's going on in it. The reason we're using the financial information from the financial reports, income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow, is because it's readily available for all publicly traded companies. So that's a full set of data on the finances anyway at a high level on every publicly owned company. So all the students are starting out at an equal place on a level footing with the same amount and types of data to put the company through their paces and see if they can find some type of either challenge, something that needs corrected, or an opportunity, something that needs capitalized or continued. And it may not always be that way out there in business intelligence because you'll be having access to all different types of data set, inventory items, all of those things that we just simply don't have equally for all the students at this point. So we're using the financial statements to help you support a challenge or an opportunity to be captured because there's always one there. There's always something there that you can run with. And then, regardless of what it is, build a business intelligence solution around it using the data of the organization. So, using the financial statements is how we do that. Now, the thing I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed too, working with Full Sail is, yay us, we're open enrollment and everybody, can come in and we'll do the best we can. But not everybody has ever even seen a financial statement. And a lot of our students in business intelligence have never had another business degree. So this is the first time looking at business financial statements for a lot of students.
Hmm.
So here shortly, I'll show you something I put together yesterday, mainly in preparation of my meeting with you, because if you're wondering these things, you know the old saying, you're not the only one. You're just the only one right now saying that to us. So I put together some information to help make this process, this part of it, so much easier, so that you pick a public company, put it through this app that I'm going to show you, and it'll show you what all of these numbers and ratios are. Because I don't want you to learn to analyze financial statements. That's not what we're doing. That's not the whole point, and I don't want you to spend an enormous amount of time doing that. What I want you to be able to do is be able to see the quick ratio and asset ratio and see if they're in line and say, oops, this is an issue for this company. And if we implement a business intelligence solution that better processes the data through the warehouse and provides more drill down to the frontline managers, I want you to be able to run with fixing it, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
you said that you hadn't seen a capstone. So this one right here, I just pulled up. It was a
Great.
student that graduated back in the 1st of August, and he's got a really good job right now with Tennessee Valley Authority in business intelligence, and he did his on Duke Energy. And he spent his the entire program working on this same company. And as you can see in the solution overview, he briefly talks about the opportunities and challenges, the information required by the decision makers, and the proposed business system solutions. And then he goes on down here in detail, identifies the challenges and opportunities. And I will post this out there for you when I'm done in the week 4 assignment so that you can see it and look at it closely, so you can drill down in it and see what the information is and where he got it. And he's using actual, let me get down here. He's using actual charts from Power BI and actual quick ratios and cash ratio that I'm talking about that highlights exactly where the problem was that he located by doing this. And he had a little bit of familiarity with financial statements. I worked with him a little bit more. So he was able to actually prepare these visualizations in Power BI highlighting what we had discovered. So I will post this out there for you in with the week 4, and it'll be there this evening so that you can actually drill down in that and look at it. But what I wanted to show you was, I think I pulled up, can you see public storage on my screen?
Yes.
Because that was on
So,
the list that you gave
yeah,
me.
that was one of them.
And
Yeah, that's one of them. So is that his capstone, like month 12, or
no,
that's
that was his final
report?
capstone that he submitted in month 12.
Months. Okay. All right.
So that was what he had started with in the beginning. And in month 5, we did all of the data and did the financial statement analysis like you and I are talking about right now.
Okay.
And then he kept adding to it the rest of the months throughout the program.
Yeah, I was trying to do that with my idea until we got to this class, and then the numbers stopped me.
Yeah.
My idea was not based on these specific numbers.
Yeah, we have to have specific numbers because the capstone is meant to be where you're presenting a BI solution to the actual real company, not to us. I would be the real company you will be presenting it to. So if you're not using actual real numbers and data, no one's going to listen because it's not supported by facts and it has to be data.
Well, yeah, I was going to use real data. I just wasn't going to use the financial data that we're using here.
What data were you going to use?
Well, the idea was that through training your employees, in this case, realtors, you know, all the benefits that come with training your employees, right? And that data would be gathered in multiple locations. For example, how many realtors are there? How many per year are created? How many quit each year? How many companies are there? How many times has this person changed companies? Then looking at things like how many sales has this realtor had for this company as opposed to these realtors at those companies, and which company offers training or better training or paid training or whatever, and hit it from those angles. And try to find some kind of story there that could be presented with the data.
Well, I can tell you that sounds fantastic.
This way makes it a lot more interesting.
That does sound fantastic as the BI proposal. I mean, that's an answer to a lot of the problems with the real estate numbers I've been researching since I've been working with you. That's the actual solution. That's the better use of the data. You're right on the money with that. That's collecting the data, extracting it, transforming it, loading it into all of these systems, Power BI or whatever systems you're
Right.
going to use to provide that information that you're talking about. That's the solution. Don't lose sight of that yet. That's the solution that you're talking about. What
Okay.
we're talking about at this stage is the challenge that the company is having that better use of data would solve for them.
Okay.
So that's a perfect solution that you just told me. And you summarized it right off the top of your head. You knew exactly what you were talking about. I got chills a little bit. That's your solution. I'd love to see you still do that, because that is fantastic. Because that is using the data that they may or may not be using. You know they have it. You know that. Everybody has so much data they're not using. So
Right.
they need a better data warehouse, and they need better collaboration and connection between all of these things. So your solution is right on the money. What we've got to do is find you a challenge to put that solution to. And it really doesn't matter what the challenge is. We just want to see that you can recognize one. Does that make sense, looking at the
Yes.
data?
Mm-hmm.
You obviously know what the solution is, and that's using all types of data points, and you're right on the money. And when I'm looking at something like this income statement for public storage, one thing you always do right off the top as you look at the increases in revenue from year over year, and you can see there's 2 to 3% increase year over year. But what's happening in the net income? How much is making it to the bottom line? Uh-oh, there's a decrease, isn't there? From 18 to 19. So if revenue is increasing 2 to 3 or 4% year over year for 4 years, net income should also be increasing that same amount year over year, if not more. Because it shouldn't cost any more to run the business to make the 28 here than the 27 that lost them right here, net income. They had a decrease in net income. That shouldn't have happened. So that right there is a challenge. Could that be
Right.
training of employees? You betcha it could be training of employees. It could be turnover. It could be what they're doing from one company to the next. It's absolutely all of those things. But right here is a challenge right off the top, looking no further. The increases year over year in net revenue is not matched in increases in net income. Quite the contrary, it's a decrease.
Right. I
So,
saw those, and I recognize that there's something going on that
yes,
we
that's all
we
you
can
need to
follow.
recognize at this
Right.
point. And the reason I say that is we don't have a way to drill down to see exactly where that's at.
Okay.
From just the high level financials, working, if you were consulting with them or you were inside the organization, you would have access to more detailed information, so you could drill down to see where that was. Right now, we just want you to see that there is an issue with revenue and net income. The trends are not matching.
Okay. So
So
I don't need to know
no,
the data on the realtors themselves.
no, not at this point.
Okay.
Now, your solution to how we're losing money before it gets to the bottom line, it's just dripping out of the bucket here and there. You can say that because we don't know. We don't have access to the data.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're losing money before out of that income bucket before it hits the bottom line. Your solution could be they're not effectively using the information on the realtors and their employees, and then go right into what you just said. Because that's typically a solution in most organizations. We're not using the data to manage the training and track all of the employees and all of the professionals. That's in most organizations in most industries. So
Mm-hmm.
that suits this. You don't need to know where they lost the money just yet, because we don't have access to the information to find that out.
Okay.
So we just need to know that there is something here, and you see that there's a challenge. And how are you going to apply the solution you said to that? Well, you're going to better track the data through the warehouse. It's going to be transformed for front end users, which is what the training, the HR, all of the people that be affected by the solution that you just told me. And what would that do? That would tighten this up, and it would probably also increase revenue but it would match the expenses of these organizations to the trends in revenue in real time to preserve that net income. That's what business intelligence would do just for this line right here, because what happens is they'll budget expenses as a percentage of revenue. Well, if revenue is going up and down, no one's adjusting those expenses throughout the year. But a dashboard to the users would show the revenue trends in real time every day, so the frontline managers could adjust their expenses to match that. So that's what we're looking for. I think you were overcomplicating, because no, there's absolutely no way you'd be able to find that right now, because they're not going to reveal that to us, what's behind each of these numbers. I mean, under the operating expenses, I didn't see anything terribly out of line. So it's hard to figure out where it went, but that's not important. What's important is something is not being managed right, because the increases in revenue are not making it to the bottom line. And that's important to all companies, because it translates, as you can see down here at the bottom, the earnings per share on the stock decreased as a result of that. That's why. Because the net income that's available to pay the stockholders, which are very important, decreased, which upsets stockholders. Now they start selling, we've got another whole problem. So the earnings per share decrease. So that's what happens when net income doesn't match the trend of total revenue. So that's one particular situation. And I looked at like cash flow over here on this particular company, and their cash flow is pretty steady, but what I was noticing is it's all over the place. The cash flow is not following any natural trend from operating activities. If revenue is increasing, they're obviously bringing in more money, but the cash flow is all over the place. Negative 71, up 49. I mean, so whatever they're doing is also not consistent in managing the cash flow. So that's also an issue. So you, even just with this one company, you could find one of those real estate ones that you had on your list and apply your solution just by finding any one of these things that we just discussed, you know, matching revenue. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to show you was what I made for you yesterday, and I want to thank you for that, because when a student pushes you to work a little harder than you're used to on this one particular assignment, sometimes you find something fantastic. Do you see my red presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never mean to be, but I'm always a squeaky wheel somehow.
I know there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Let me tell you, you're not any squeakier than I was. Last month, I finished the MGMS degree at Full Sail, the Mobile Gaming Master of Science. Mm-hmm. And whew, I was probably exactly like you, if not worse. So no, that is not a problem. You got to get your answers, and especially with something as important as the capstone. I mean, no one wants to waste their time and get a piece of paper that didn't feel like a success. So that's never a problem. But I found something, and I wanted to share that with you, because I'm going to put this together for all the other students, thanks to you. But I found an app that's free. I was going to create one, but I found one that's free, and I don't like to recreate the wheel. So see this app up here at the top? It says Company Financials.
Yes.
That's the name of the app.
Okay.
It's available for free for Android and iOS. And I downloaded it on my phone and played with it. And let me tell you, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I was so shocked that it was free. I wouldn't put it out there for free. But I'll show you screenshots here in a minute. But it's going to provide all the information I just told you about the financials. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, I'm not wanting you to learn to analyze financials. I'm wanting you to see the problem and then apply your solution to it. So
see the trends.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I want. I don't want you to have to do them. Now, this application, when you open the screen right here, it'll say, look up your company. And when you click on that, you can type in the company name or the symbol, either or. And it'll pop up like up here. I typed in Apple and the ticker. So it says Apple Inc. All right. And as you can see right across here, it pulls it up for you. You don't have to do any of it. Oh my gosh. How amazing is that? It has the income statements, the balance sheet, the cash flow, all of their filings. It has their ratios already calculated for you. It's all right there. And this one particular chart that's standing right here in front of me, what I liked about it specifically was it compares the revenue to net income for Apple. So the green, the visualization is the revenue, and the blue is the net income. So you can see that even this line in Apple, what's happening here is the net income is not always trending the same as the revenue either. And this visualization shows you, and you didn't have to key in and calculate anything. So it shows you all of that. And it shows you the balance sheet about the cash and everything that I was talking about. So right here, now that I've made this for you so that you would know when you're looking at the income statement right here on this app, the thing to know for where you are right now is the net income trend should not decrease more than revenue decreased. And the net income should increase at least as much as the revenue. So it should kind of go like this with the revenue. Never decrease more than the revenue did. That's a big problem.
I'm assuming you're talking about the green and the blue?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so to me, it looks like they are. I mean, the percentages might be slightly off, but it looks like it's
slightly off. But you can see right here where the net income trend went down. See the red line?
Uh-huh.
Even though revenue was going up. This red line is showing you what the percentage is doing. So it actually, the net income is not trending with revenue as closely as it might seem. And that's showing you that with that red line, because it started trending downward, the net income, when revenue was still going up.
So is that much of a concern, a little small dip like that?
A small dip like that in a company like this could be $30 million.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's $30 million that doesn't get paid to stockholders.
Right.
That's a big problem. Net income becomes retained earnings, which is what feeds the stock market. So that's huge. And the other thing you want to look at is revenue versus operating expenses. The operating expenses should not increase more than revenue increases. It shouldn't cost you more in expenses to make more revenue as far as the percentages. If revenue increases 5%, operating expenses should not increase any more than 5%. If they do, that's dollar for dollar eaten out of your net income.
Yeah, and you actually want it to be less, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I just put these here just so that when you're glancing at the charts on the app,
right,
you know exactly what you're looking for on the income statement. These are the things to look for when you pull this up on the app on the income statement.
And so this is what we're looking for week 4.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And
great.
I'm going to put this app out there on week 4 so you all can get it. You're just hearing about it first. Okay. So let's look at the balance sheet on this app. It says compare year over year cash and cash equivalents versus revenue. The cash should not decrease more than the revenue decreased, and the percentage in cash should go up if revenue is going up. At least the same amount roughly. If revenue goes up 5%, cash and cash equivalents should go up 5%. And revenue versus retained earnings, that's the big one. Retained earnings is what you see on the balance sheet. That's what feeds the stock market that everybody looks at every single day in quarterly earnings. Retained earnings should not decrease more than the revenue decrease. And they should increase at least as much percentage-wise as the revenue does. If it doesn't, that's when you hear that they didn't meet their quarterly earnings. That's where that's coming from. So that's a big problem. And any of these things can be addressed by your solution. Any of these. So that's great. In cash flow statement, you're going to compare free cash flow versus revenue. The free cash flow, again, should not decrease more than the revenue, and it should increase at least as much. So you'll be able to look at the free cash flow, and you're seeing here, they put the lines for you. I'll put this out there for you, but you'll see it on your own companies on the app. You're going to be amazed at what that app shows you, so you don't have to worry about calculating or even using that Excel sheet if you don't want to that I made. If you want to screenshot these when you pull them up on the app and use them in your course project, by all means do that, because these are fantastic, these charts and visualizations. And I put down here the key takeaways as far as what free cash flow means, because that is very important to companies. You know that cash is king. And the biggest one is the financial ratios. That's what everybody checks constantly. Is you're going to compare and check actual ratios against the cheat sheet that I put over here for you.
Okay.
And see Apple Inc. here is their ratios. They put them all right here for you. The current ratio, the quick ratio, the cash ratio for the past 4 years. They're all right there for you. You don't have to calculate any of them. So you can look at the current ratio, come over here and see what it says. And higher is better. 2.0 is average. So you can look. Current ratio for Apple is not very good, is it? Because it's a 1.12 and 2.0 should be average. And it tells you here what that means. It's a test of solvency. Do they have enough money in their liquid assets that they could liquidate them today and pay all of their current liabilities? So they're saying they barely do with 1.12. So you can look at these ratios and look over here and see what it means and which one might add to your challenge, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this app is phenomenal. And then in summary, financial statement data for right now for you. Again, you'll have access to more detailed data out there in the field, but right now this is all you have. It's like the blood test when we go to the doctors. The financial reports is the blood test for these companies. And it's checking the blood results of your Capstone company. If they're out of line, then there's a potential for challenge or opportunity. And that's what those ratios are for. It's like looking at your blood work. If it says normal range is 2.0 to 3.0 and it's at 1.12, oops, that's a problem. And that's what these ratios are telling you. Once you identify the challenge, create a business intelligence solution to solve it, which you already have. And how can the company's data be better used to solve the challenge? You even told me that without taking a breath. And what business intelligence vendors and platforms would you use to implement what you just said? And then which decision makers would receive the data? And this is just an example I put for you over here. Revenue is increasing year over year at 3 to 6%, but expenses increased 10%, resulting in a net income decrease. With Power BI, frontline managers will receive daily dashboards in real time to match expense trends to revenue changes. This will result in increased net income. It really was that simple. So I wanted you to see it was not near as encompassing as you thought. You just needed to use the financials, know exactly what you were looking at quickly to locate a challenge, not make up one, find something, there's always going to be one, and then build a BI solution. You already have your solution. And if you use this app, you're going to get the financial statements that I'm talking about. It's going to already run all the analysis that I was wanting you to have to do, which is hard to learn to do. I'm also a CPA, of course, I know how to do that. I didn't want you to have to learn that, but now with this app, you don't. I just want you to be able to look at those things and look at those ratios and say, oh, right here's a problem that I can solve. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's really
I don't need to know what the problem is or what's causing it.
No.
I just need to be able to see the numbers and be able to do it for the assignment.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then apply your knowledge of BI to that.
Okay.
And nobody's going to say, well, this company already has that or has this. They're not going to say that. We just want to know that you were able to look at some data, notice an issue, and then apply a business intelligence solution to it. That's really all it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That
and
makes
I
a lot
absolutely
more sense.
love your solution. I wouldn't change the way you spit it out to me was just fantastic.
Yeah, unfortunately, it started off as a business intelligence idea, but now it's every day it's sounding more and more like I'm starting a tech company. But, maybe, you never know.
Well, me and you can do that, with all your knowledge and gaming and my mobile applications and everything, who knows? Maybe one day we'll do something like that. But I just didn't want you to fret over this because your knowledge of what you're looking for is there. You didn't need to go as deep as you were thinking you did.
Yeah. This just, you just threw me a curveball. I wasn't sure. I didn't know I would need this data specifically for the capstone, and it just stopped me in my tracks. Now that I get what you're saying, so I can find a company, I can update the survey and do the assignments and everything. That's no problem.
And be sure and go get this app. You're going to love it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
And
I haven't had a chance to watch your videos yet in the survey assignment that you just uploaded.
Sure.
So I'm gonna watch the new ones later today, and then I'll update all of that.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. Not a problem. Give me a few minutes and I'll put this out there too in week 4 so the other students can have it with the app. And if you see anything else or you find anything you think that would be helpful for me to add, just by all means, let me know.
Sure. I do have a question about the movie assignment.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going with The Princess Bride.
Okay.
I've collected my data. I created the Excel spreadsheets, tables, and I've got my layout for Power BI and everything. My idea is I want to be able to select which character I want to be in the movie.
Oh, perfect.
And then based on which character I select, I want to see, obviously the data will update, right?
Right.
So then the character would be able to see, okay, I wanted to do, I have this much screen time, but then that translated to the actor, not the story itself. So I decided not to do that because you wanted the story itself, not the real life stuff.
Well, if you want to do that actor based on that, I like that because that's something you'd put in the filter. So when they click them, that works. I like
Okay.
that. No, that's perfectly fine.
I was also thinking that this character could, once they select themselves, the data would update and it would show them where they're going to die or where they're going to get hurt, or like the Inigo, the swordsman, is looking for the six-fingered man. So by looking at this data, he can see where that man is in the world to go track him down.
Fantastic.
So I thought story-wise, if I showed the data of their health and their location, then the person could make those type of decisions, and that would make the person real,
Yeah.
looking at the data for real, as opposed to it being a story and I'm talking about the actors.
Oh, yeah, it's immersive. I love it.
Okay, so that makes sense. That's along the lines of what you're looking for.
Oh, that's even deeper than what I was looking for. I like the fact that you're allowing it to be immersive. That's fantastic.
Okay. Um, it's the same thing as the Ghostbusters that you showed,
Sure.
but yeah, it's along those same lines. Okay.
I love it. Absolutely.
All right, so yeah, I'll try to figure that out, how to do it. And
And
then,
if you need extra time too, that's fine. I'm more interested in you able to follow through on your concepts because this is all new right now for everyone. Than it being in exactly the right time. I mean, I just want you to learn from it and feel very good about what you created and create what you were looking to do and all of that because that's where we're at in all this for you.
okay. Yeah, it'll be done on time. It's no problem. It's just a
Okay.
matter of, I think my main issue will be how do since it's not the United States, I want to use a map, but I can't use a map because it's not a real map. It's just a picture that somebody drew
Right.
of the map. So how would I get those little dots to show up in the right spot on
Let me
this
look
fake
that up
map?
for you and I'll send that to you.
Is that a thing? Like, have people done
Yeah,
that
there's a
before?
thing because I had a student about 4 months ago do that. Let me go look and see what they did and share that with you.
Okay, great. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. I really needed to see what was
No,
going
thank
on with the
you.
numbers.
Thank you for
Okay.
stretching me and making me find something that I knew was an issue. I spend an enormous amount of time teaching people how to analyze financials because I didn't have this app yet. So no, thank you because it's going to make it easier for them and easier for me to help them do other things and spend time on this. So no, this was great all the way around.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
All right, darling. And if you need anything else, please reach out.
All right. Thanks. You too. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye.